Hi everyone and welcome to Our Land, Our Stories, a landmark series from Nelson St Gage and IATSIS. My name's Sally Lawrence and I'm one of the lead authors for this series. Viewers are advised that the following webinar may contain the names, voices and images of people who have passed. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this webinar is being filmed, the Kabi Kabi or Gubbi Gubbi people. I would like to pay my respects to those elders past, present and future emerging elders. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians and language groups from which you are watching this webinar from and the land on which you are located, and pay my respects to them. Have you seen this map from IATSIS? It features as a part of this series, Our Land, Our Stories, and is located in the back of the little red, yellow and black book. The IATSIS map of Indigenous Australia shows all the different language groups around Australia and from the Torres Strait. I also encourage you to access this IATSIS map of Indigenous Australia online. Follow this link and encourage students to roll their mouse over the map. It will bring up a lens and highlight the different language groups. Encourage students to find the language group for which your school is located. Or if children were not born in Australia, have a look at the language group of where they first entered into Australia and maybe some of the places that they've visited in their holidays. They can discover the different language groups of those areas. So today we're going to be having a look at the lower primary part of Our Land, Our Stories. Our Land, Our Stories features sections for lower primary, middle primary and upper primary. And today we're going to have a look at the lower primary section. You can see when you purchase the lower primary part of this series that you receive the teacher resource book, which is a key function and links all of the aspects of this series and guides you through of how to use this appropriately. You also receive a copy of the IATSIS little red, yellow and black book, which has the map of Indigenous Australia in the back cover, which we showed earlier. You will receive 3 big books, one for country place, one for culture and one for people. And when we talk about big books, I mean they're big. And look at the beautiful covers that you can see here beside me of those big books. Some of this artwork has never been seen outside of the community, and we feel really privileged that IATSIS has given us these artworks to use as a part of this series. There are even activities about these artworks to support you to talk through and interpret the art and find the meaning with the students. Additional to the big books are the learning cards, and you can see the beautiful box that these cards come in. There are 15 cards all up, and there are 6 copies of each card so that you can use it for small group learning. 5 of the cards relate to country place, 5 relate to people, and 5 relate to culture. And these are all interlinked within the whole series. So let's have a look. Today's learning journey, we're going to be taking that overview of the lower primary series. We're going to be looking at the big book Country Place in particular. And we're going to have a look at the learning card that shares with us the significance of the Torres Strait Islander flag with author Harry Pitt. We're going to look at how Our Land, Our Stories supports educators to embed that cross-curriculum priority of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures, and also how it helps to support educators to demonstrate their professional standards for teaching, in particular 1.4 and 2.4. So let's dive in and have a look. Here you can see the big book, Country Place, for lower primary, the teacher resource book with a different cover on it for the lower primary, and the learning card that we're going to use here with the author Harry Pitt. Let's have a look at what the lower primary components of this series feature. In the big books, students will meet 3 children and their families. We work with Josie, who is from Thursday Island in the Torres Strait, Orlando, who is from a small community in the desert of Western Australia, the Yilka country, and Shay, who is from eastern Queensland over here in Kabi Kabi country. In the cards, the students learn about topics including the significance of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flags, the importance of football to an Indigenous community, and first-hand accounts from children's daily lives and the people closest to them. I really love this part of the series because we hear from those children and we hear those first Nations voices really clearly, the children can make those comparisons between their own life and those of the authors that feature on those learning cards. So let's have a look at how this all connects. In the Culture Big Book, when we're meeting Josie from the Torres Strait, we have a information bubble here that talks about the Torres Strait Islander flag and gives you information about the creator, the late Bernard Namok Sr., okay, and gives you that detail about the flag. When we go into the Country Place Big Book and we again see Josie's life through her eyes, we have a QR code here that you will be able to click on and you will be able to hear Torres Strait Creole as spoken by the author, Harry Pitt. It's a beautiful way to hear and understand different languages. Sometimes we're a bit apprehensive to give language a go when we haven't heard it. So for this series, we wanted to ensure that you were supported and guided to be able to use the languages of these children and the different language groups that they come from. So with Josie, we hear Torres Strait Creole. With Shay from Kabi Kabi country, we hear her language, Kabi Kabi. And Orlando over in Western Australia, we hear the language of his people on Yilka country. When you access these extra bits of information through the QR codes, for those that have an Apple device, you simply use the camera function. Hold it over the QR code and it will pick up on that code and take you to the IATSIS website where this content is held. If you have an Android phone, you will need to download a QR code reading app. It's simple, it's easy, and it brings this series to life even more. All aspects of this series, Our Land, Our Stories, connects. As you can see here, the teacher resource book, the big books, the cards and the QR codes give you that extra information and functionality. It shows you how everything is connected, just like in culture. So let's have a look at the lower primary. Today we're going to be using the teacher resource book. We're going to be using the Country Place Big Book. We're going to be using the learning card from Harry Pitt that talks about the Torres Strait Island flag. And we're going to access some additional resources through that QR code that you will find in the teacher resource book. Let's have a look at Bala Harry Pitt's story here about the Torres Strait Islander flag. Bala Harry acknowledges the creator of the flag, the late Bernard Namok Sr. I'm really proud of the amount of resources and stories that have come out of the Torres Strait that are a part of this series for Our Land, Our Stories. In the past, we haven't seen as much information coming from the Straits, and we've had that unbalanced perspective. So there is a lot of content in Our Land, Our Stories, which helps us to unpack and learn about the Torres Strait Islander people, their country and their culture. When we go down to the QR code down here at the bottom, we can click on that with our device and we will get to hear from the author Harry Pitt as he talks about the Torres Strait Islander flag. Let's have a listen.
Hello, my name's Harry Pitt. I'm a Torres Strait Islander man, and today we're going to assemble the jigsaw, the Torres Strait Islander flag. But firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the flag bearer and creator, Mr. Bernard Namok, OSOL. My thanks. You will find the green line at the top and bottom of the jigsaw. This represents the boundaries between New Guinea and mainland Australia. You'll see two black lines that represent our people within the Torres Straits. The blue is the water where we fish and we enjoy and where we live. The dari, the headdress, is worn by our men and is now seen through our art and jewellery. The star links us to the sky and gives us an understanding of where we are, as well as it talks about our 5 language groups across the communities. And white signifies peace. This flag is important to us, and thank you for assembling it.
When I created the Teacher's Resource Book, I really wanted to help teachers and hold their hand and remove any anxiety that they may have about embedding Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island perspectives. let's have a look at that teacher resource book and how it can build your cultural capability as an educator. Know that this resource is an essential teaching tool, okay, and it will support you in your own learning as well as the learning that you share with the students. It has meaningful teacher interaction and supports you to embed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander learning frameworks throughout this work and bring those aspects to your teaching and learning. Our Land, Our Stories builds reconciliation. It shows respect and recognition for our First Nations peoples. It's a great resource for you to change the way that history has been taught in the past. You're hearing from First Nations voices. These are people's stories, which enables you to give correct historical perspectives when you're embedding Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island perspectives within the curriculum. This teacher resource book also helps you to extend your teaching and learning across the many key learning areas. So traditionally, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island perspectives has been sitting in the space of HASS or English or visual arts. This resource helps you to extend much further through other key learning areas such as maths, science, technology and health and PE. Remember I talked about those QR codes and how they give you more access to resources and functionality? Let's have a good look at that now and see how that works for this one, for lower primary, for the Torres Strait Island flag. When we click on the QR code, it reveals more resources that can support the teaching and learning. Here you will see access to flag protocols, IATSIS information about the Torres Strait Islander flag, and some of their exhibitions that they have online that will support you even further. The learning activities here are aligned and you can see the numbers there. These resources fit to question 3 and another one here for question 11. As we make our way down and through the teacher resource book here for the Torres Strait Islander flag, we again see that this is authored by Harry Pitt and it gives us a synopsis about what the intent of this card is. The learning intention is clearly articulated and any links that are made to other parts of this resource are clearly articulated in the teaching pathway. We flag those protocols from the get-go to remove that anxiety you may have about making any cultural faux pas. Discussion points help open up more information for you to gain a holistic perspective. And the learning activities are laid out to support you to scaffold the learning with individual children. I know kids in lower primary love to use Google Earth, and particularly for this one, using Google Earth and zooming into the Torres Strait so the kids can see the beauty of the water and the difference of the different islands and the space that it takes up from mainland Australia to Papua New Guinea is one of those first learning activities that we have here. As the learning is supported, you can see there's frameworks that will support you to get the information from the children about what you are hoping them to understand, and it's further scaffolded up to build them up to greater understanding. You can see the links are made here for this particular card to the arts, HASS, science and technologies. As a teacher, know that and feel confident when you're using Our Land, Our Stories that everything has been triple-checked, double-checked by IATSIS and Nelson Engage to ensure that you are using a culturally appropriate resource. It will support you to embed that cross-curriculum priority of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures. It will enable you to demonstrate your professional standards for teachers, in particular 1.4 and 2.4. I strongly encourage you to get familiar with the resource, use it in different ways until you become familiar with the different elements and the different stories that are within this whole series. If you would like to find out more about Our Land, Our Stories, please click on this link or contact our Nelson Engage primary sales consultants. They can come out to your school and show you this beautiful resource. Once you touch it, you see it, and you see the vibrant photos and the beautiful stories that have been shared, you'll feel confident to embed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island perspectives within your teaching and learning. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.